When a game has replayability, what does that exactly mean? Well, obviously, it means that it's worth playing over and over again. But what makes it worth replaying? Well, speedrunning tends to be a pretty popular factor when it comes to replaying a game. Getting the fastest time has always been a replaying staple. Just look at Mario 64. Those half A presses counted for something. It's an expansive community filled to the brim with players looking to find ways to manipulate a game for the sake of time. Then we've got character builds. Every good RPG has tons of ways to utilize different characters. Trying out different strategies just adds hours to the clock. When you've done one build in Skyrim, you'll probably try another. Last but not least, we've got the games with branching pathways. It's been a staple of any good platformer to have different paths to get to the end. Classic Sonic is one of the best examples of this. Each map has different ways to get to the goal, and even ones that reward you with goodies and faster runtimes. You can't go wrong with that. They're all great contributors to a game's replay value, and none of them aren't necessarily overshadowing one another, but each of them are only a part of the overall grand scheme that makes the replayability worth it. It's an integral part of game design, and always has been improving with each passing decade. Dishonored 2 is one of those games I've beaten on the hardest difficulty over and over again. While the first game is an absolute marvel of a game, the second one improves upon its gameplay in so many ways. While Fallout New Vegas is still my most replayed game, that's a story for another day. What makes this stealth game so great is one core design principle: level design. Being one of the most important aspects of game design, level design usually takes shape in everything player interactivity related. The ability to do anything and its defined limits are crucial to mastering this one simple trick. But with such a broad concept, it might be difficult to pinpoint the exact designs. However, I think I can do it in a few minutes. So, without further ado, let's dive into this finely crafted game. A quick note, I'll only be covering the first 3 levels in this video. For the sake of those who haven't played yet, I'd much rather the average viewer only have a taste of the experience. That way, they can go ahead and try for themselves. The main draw of the Dishonored games is that you're free to play however you want to complete the objective. There are numerous ways to get into nearly every place in the game. How you go about it is completely up to you. Bits and pieces of the level design exist to complement your skill sets and powers. Since there's no time limit, you're pretty much free to do as you please. For your first time playthrough, take it nice and easy. If you try to rush through the game without any knowledge, you might not enjoy it nearly as much. Let's take the very first level as an example. Here, you need to escape from the place known as Dunwall. Right out of the game, it's a very linear experience. From picking up your sword to escaping, this is a great way to get players into the game without being immediately overwhelmed by choices they'll need to make later on. And this is where you're instantly introduced to what will define your playthrough, known as chaos. Chaos affects both the actions and reactions of every character. It'll ultimately affect the ending you get based on the choices you made along the way. For the sake of this video, I'll keep this one short to avoid any spoilers. Essentially, low chaos requires you to avoid killing as many guards and civilians as possible, while high chaos has you becoming an absolute menace to society with a high kill count. There, however, is also a middle ground known as medium chaos. Essentially, you'll need to balance between being a menace and suddenly deciding that killing isn't worth your thing. And you're immediately given such a choice here where you can choose to either murder this NPC in cold blood or knock him unconscious and have him locked up in a room to which he has no escape from. You'll need to make these choices throughout each level, which can also contribute towards the ending. NPCs will even comment differently based on what you did. It really helps add to the weight of your actions. Once you manage to escape the royal prison, you'll find yourself out on the streets. This is where the game starts to open up just a bit more on your options. Do you methodically try to sneak past the guards, memorizing their patrol routes and knocking out a few along the way? Or perhaps you attempt to throw caution to the wind and fight your way through. As a new player, getting low chaos might be a bit tricky in the first level. With the amount of guards and little room to hide, you might be tempted to kill a few if you get caught. At the moment, your only tools are the pistol and your sword, along with your magnifying lens. The game forces you to consider ways to get by than what you might have done before. Let's take this area for example. You've got a guard looking outward with 3 others out on patrol. And if you didn't see it, there's also a guard in that station over there. You can try and sneak your way past all the guards. However, players will soon start to realize that it may prove more difficult than first imagined. So, what do? There's another guard station nearby, but your attention might go towards that climbable lantern and pipes. And what's this? A moving cart you can ride on top of? And it can take you all the way towards the end? Congratulations. you've already learned a few things without the game telling you so. 1. You could fight off the guards. If you tried, you'd quickly see that the parrying window is a bit tricky. Even if you managed to fight them all, you only lost health and potential resources for it. 2. What appears to be just decoration are actual set pieces of level design meant to act as pathways. And 3. You can take advantage of moving objects when the situation arises. Second level. Now you have access to your powers, and this is where the game starts to let off on the training wheels. You're granted access to this heart, which lets you locate items such as runes and bone charms. Runes are necessary to upgrade your powers and stats, and bone charms are equipments which will grant small boosts. And this is where we get into the next important aspect of this game's level design: exploration. Aside from what I just said, there's all sorts of goodies hiding in plain sight. These little trinkets are worth a nice sum of gold, which you'll need to purchase items and gear upgrades at black market shops. So not only are you rewarded for taking the kind that goes through the level, you might even find additional pathways to completing your objective. Because of this, gathering gold doesn't feel intrusive at all. In fact, it'll feel completely natural. You won't think twice when you pickpocket some random civilian. Now, going back to what I said about powers, this is the level where you can start experimenting with them. At the start, you won't have any runes to your name, but as you keep replaying the game, you can carry over everything you had aside from bone charms via New Game Plus. On a fresh playthrough, you'll only have access to your particular character's set of powers. However, New Game Plus, it opens up so that you can unlock them all regardless. With newfound abilities at your disposal, you'll now find even more accessible areas that you normally couldn't before. Since you start off with Blink or Far Reach, you'll find traversing through the levels less of a hassle. With all the platforms, distance withstanding, traveling suddenly feels even less of a hassle than before. As you get used to the game's mechanics and infrastructure, you'll start to be a lot more methodical in your approach. Curiosity will have you improve in several ways. Maybe you'll want to complete the level as fast as possible, or perhaps you want to see what other ways you can achieve your objective. Sometimes you'll do things the same way before you realize there was another way you hadn't considered. And now, here we are at the third level. If the first game taught you the basics and the second gave you the tools, then the third one is the entrance exam. You've probably noticed the emphasis on verticality within the game. There are tons of buildings, ledges, and windows to use to your advantage. With these, you can avoid getting caught by the guards on patrol. But not only that, but the only black market shop is at the right, meaning you'll have to sneak through the guards to gain access. Your objective is to find a way in and take the carriage towards the next section. With each level past the first, you gain a few hints on how to complete your goals, and here is no exception. If you can acquire a rerod tool at the shop, you can use it to get past the wall of light, which is the sparkling gate of electricity. Whatever route you take, you'll be led towards the next section. If the second level had 2 parts, this one has 3. Due to how special the third one is, I'd rather not spoil it. If we can somehow get 500 likes on the video, I'll gladly make a video talking about it. More importantly, however, there is one more thing I'd like to talk about. It's the fact that you can play this game without any powers. You can choose to decline the offer to not have them at all. With a third way to play the game, you now have to really try and look for ways to complete certain sections or levels. What was once a simple traversal with your teleport now becomes a parkour challenge. Your tools become far more valuable as you'll come to rely on them more often. Upgrading becomes a priority and all the normal runes you get are converted to gold. If you didn't notice alternate pathways before, you'll really start to notice them here. And that's when you really appreciate the developers for making a game possible to beat even with such a handicap. All in all, Dishonored 2 is an amazing stealth game experience. I know that whenever I get back into it, I know I'll always have a good time. With great level design and a wide arsenal, it'll take a ridiculously long time before you grow bored. So if you're looking to get into a new game this season, why not pick up this one? And with that, thanks for enjoying the video. Growth has been great on this channel, and I really hope any newcomers are here to stay. You can support the channel by liking, subscribing, and all the usual jazz. I'd love to do more videos like this in the future. It's always been a bit of a thing of mine to explain to people why and how I enjoy certain things. Hopefully I've done a decent job at it. If I didn't, well, just call me out I guess. Regardless, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Have yourselves a wonderful week.